Yes, yes, yes. Guys, welcome to another episode of Matt Zina Acting Tips. Today I'm going to be talking about how casting really works, because I don't think even many actors seem to have a particularly good idea of how casting really works and how they can really maximize on it and play into it. So, what happens is the casting directors get a brief, and it's usually through casting directors. Okay, so something's written, and then it gets commissioned, and then a producer, director start to come together. Director employs a head of department, which is a casting director. The casting director comes on, finds out all about the characters, the budget as well that they've got for all the actors, and then they start to connect with agents or put it out through different resources like casting networks or Spotlight in the UK. And then us as agents, because I'm an agent as well, start to submit and say, look, we've got the actors. Here we are. Here we go. Now, then what happens is the casting directors look through all of the submissions and then invite people who, from the conversation that they've had with the director, seem to fit the brief or seem to have what it is that they feel the director's looking for, because they're a head of department, they're involved in the film. And then they invite them to audition. Firstly, usually by self-tape, then sometimes by Zoom, and then in person. And then they get the role. They're made an offer. Okay, they are then liable to either accept that offer, not accept that offer, but usually do. All right, and then the casting process is done, and then they take on the project as the actor. So that's how it works in principle, but let's get down to the real macro of it. What's that conversation that's had between the writer, the director, and the casting director? So, the writer has a very good idea of the character. That is then shared with the director. The director literally absorbs all of the script and really gets a feel for what that character is and what they want to see visually from that character. They know that they're not going to find an actor that's going to mold themselves into that character. There's one rule in this industry: you can't lie to a camera. All right? Now, I'm overtly confident on camera, all of this stuff. So if I were to pretend to be shy, I would have to do certain things or push certain parts of me and do certain things that then would be lying to the camera, and that wouldn't come across very well, and it would certainly look contrived and false. Really, what they want to happen is they want the character that they've thought of to be a real person. They want to see that person exist. Right? Does that make sense? So they will have that conversation with the casting director. Look, this is what we're looking for. The character's like this and this and this. Casting director, when they're looking for all those submissions, they're looking for that person that's been described. They're looking at all the different photos and they're looking for that character to pop. Now, if they're getting 3,000, 4,000 submissions, it's your headshot that's going to do that. That's why your headshot needs to be engaging with the eyes and full of personality, because they're looking for that person to pop out at them. Then when they go into your CV, things like CV intros are really popular these days, because they get to see the real person and they get to see, that's the person that's just been described. Wow. Then it's not like the 50s or even earlier, when like Laurence Olivier, for instance, would just play every single role from Henry V to, this is TV and film in 2022. We have Ultra HD, where every aspect of that person on close-up is seen. You can't pretend to be something that you're not. You have to have the personality, the archetypes associated with that character and exactly what the director and producer is looking to put on camera. So how do you play into it? How do you make sure that your CV pops? How do you make sure that you have to know who you are? Not who you want to be, not who you aspire to be. You have to be who you are. You have to be comfortable with playing out the vulnerability of who you are. It has to be seen on your CV. It has to be in your headshot. Have a CV intro where you introduce your CV and say, look, welcome to my CV. And here's a bit about me. Because they'll see who you are. That's a great tip for you. And make sure that all of your CV, even your social media and all of that is aligned with who you genuinely are. Don't be frightened to show who you genuinely are, because who you genuinely are has more chance of getting a role than anything you aspire to be. I've seen headshots where people are like, whether a person is maybe shy or a bit retiring or a bit nerdy, and that's fine, that's great. This is what people are looking for. And then suddenly they're like this, and it's like, no, let's get to the core of who you are. And that takes real bravery. And you have to be brave in this industry, okay? So that's how the casting process really works. And that's how you've got to see it. And you've got to play into it and maximize on it. And really, you have to know you. Because really, all that the casting process is all about is actually trying to find out who you are. If you're forthcoming with it at the earliest possible opportunity, you've got more chance of being cast. Whew, there we go, guys. There we have it. Another really, really important episode of Matt Zina Acting Tips. Make sure you're around next week for yet another episode of Matt Zina Acting Tips.